Hey guys, I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name, as always, is Shikha, and I welcome you to all my videos. In this video, I wanted to do something on trauma in relationships. Mohammed, one of the viewers on our channel, has asked this question several times, once in the YouTube live and a couple of times in the comments, so I've decided that it must be an important topic to him. And it is a difficult topic for me to talk about in general because I feel I have like two perspectives on it. First of all, I've been in relationships and they were really traumatic. Not in the fact that the guys were terrible or anything like that, but the fact that I just wasn't good at, I'm not good at being in relationships, or that's what I tell myself. And so that's the one side of me, that I just don't like being in relationships. And then there's the other side that I think I've only been in a few relationships, maybe two or three. And so what kind of expertise do I have on this? I feel incapable or not up to the task of answering this question about trauma and relationships. But I do know that I've spoken to a lot of people and I feel like I have a couple of things to say about it. So I'm not speaking on this topic as an expert. Don't take it as the be all of end all as with anything that I do. This is just my opinion on the matter. And so if it jibes with you, then take it as advice. And if it doesn't, then maybe find someone else who you can talk to about this stuff. Because I'm really not an expert in relationships. I've only been, as I said, in a couple. The reason I'm not in a relationship right now, and that's one of the questions I get asked a lot wherever I go, is that, you're awesome. Why aren't you in a relationship? The first thing I think to myself is that, okay, so that means that if a person is awesome, then they must be in a relationship because they cannot just be awesome on their own. They have to share this goodness with the world. That really annoys me, as you can tell. But the second thing I think to myself is that, yeah, I'm awesome, and I want to keep it that way. And that's the reason I'm not in a relationship, because I really don't want to dilute who I am by being or mingling with someone else and changing who I am in order to fit them. Because as a chameleon, that's what we do as an INFJ. As soon as we get into a relationship, it's just the way it is. It doesn't matter how strong you are within yourself, how much you love yourself, how much you are in friendship with that other person, or how much that other person allows you to be who you are. As soon as we love someone, we want to be around them, and we want them to be happy. And we know as INFJs that the best thing for anyone, the best person that anyone likes is someone like them, right? We like people who are like us. We like people who like the same things as us. We like people who think the same as us. And so we know that intuitively, we know that instinctively. No one needs to tell us this. We've known this since we were born. And so we take on our chameleon role. We kind of look at the person, we see how they are, we see what they do, we see how they behave, and we start behaving like that. It was really funny for me. I actually started, obviously, in hindsight, looking back upon my relationships and how I started becoming like my exes. And so they loved house music. And I love the fact that I love house music now. It's one of my favorite things in the world. But I only started loving house music because they loved it and I wanted them to love me. So I started listening to house music and techno music for that reason. Now, I do love it now just because I love it and I enjoy it. But in the beginning, I started to enjoy it or love it is because they loved it so much and I wanted to please them, right? I wanted to please them. The same thing with anything else that I could think of. The reason I started eating a lot of sugary cookies was because my ex used to eat a lot of them, and I was like, well, he's eating them, maybe I should as well. I want him to feel like I'm like him, even though I hate sugar stuff. Sugary snacks are not my thing. Give me a packet of chips and I'll eat a big packet of chips. He didn't like chips. He liked cookies. And so for me, I was thinking to myself, can I still eat cookies when he doesn't eat them? No, I should eat cookies as well. Or can I still eat cookies or chips when he doesn't like them? All right, I think you got it. In any case, I started becoming like them. And that's one of the reasons, as I've said before, I don't like being in a relationship. I've spoken to a bunch of people about this recently, actually, and a lot of them have been saying, maybe things will be different this time around. Maybe you haven't been in a relationship in a couple of years. Maybe when you get into a relationship this time around, because you know yourself better, because you are better, because you love yourself better, because you are a different person, things will go differently. But as Muhammad says about trauma and relationships, I feel perhaps maybe that the reason I don't want to get into a relationship again is because I am storing all of that. I don't necessarily want to call it trauma because trauma seems like such a strong word for it, but I'm carrying all of those messages, I would say, from those past relationships, and I'm holding on to them as Bible, as gospel, not Bible, gospel for the rest of my life. I feel like this is how it was in the past, and this is how it's going to be in the future, and I cannot see any other way around it. And I think that's where the trauma in relationships comes through for INFJs. That's the reason a lot of us refuse to get into relationships, not only because we're so afraid of losing ourselves and of also rejection, and also that person leaving us, because once we love, we truly, really love. I know that when I broke up with my ex, or my ex and I broke up, it was, I remember it was 4 or 5 years ago, 2014 or 2014, I think, or 2013. Anyways, 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember how broken up I was. I completely disintegrated. I was into pieces. My heart was in pieces. My body was in pieces. My mind was in pieces. My spirit was in pieces. I could not do anything. I could not think straight. The only reason I actually pulled myself out of that black hole that I was in was because I decided, all right, everything in my life has fallen apart. I've lost the person I loved. I lost my job. I've lost everything that I am. Let me rejig the pieces. Let me figure out who I am. And I started doing a brilliant morning routine where I woke up and I made my bed and I meditated and I did all that. And then I started learning about options trading, which is a very logical thing to learn. And it was really nice because it really grounded me and really taught me about being in the real world. And it was a nice skill to have. And then little by little, I pulled myself out. But I remember that feeling of the fact that the entire world that I built up was completely in pieces. And I completely lost everything, every semblance of who I was, completely disintegrated. And so I remember that feeling. It's been a while, but I can still remember that feeling of complete disintegration and complete trauma. And I know that that's the feeling that happens because I love that person so much. And I'm grateful that I had that. Now I can look back in hindsight and be like, thank God I went through that, because it made me so strong and I'm so powerful now. But that feeling I know can happen again. As soon as I get into a relationship again, it's going to happen again, right? It might happen again. I guess, I mean, like, it's not necessary. Like, it might not happen, might happen. But that's the thing. That's the thing that really freaking scares the hell out of us, because even if we've been in one relationship and we love that person to death and it disintegrated and the relationship fell apart, we will remember that for the rest of eternity, and that feeling will stick with us forever and ever and ever. And that trauma, if you want to call it, is going to be attached to our heart like a barnacle. It's never going to let go. And no matter when we think about relationships, no matter how old we are, no matter how much time has passed by, every single time I think about going into a relationship now, I think, no, I don't think so. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to deal with that shit. I don't want to talk to a person. I don't want to become a chameleon. I don't want them to change me. I don't want to change myself for that person. I like who I am. I like my life the way it is. I love the stuff I'm doing. I don't want to confuse myself. I don't want anyone interrupting all my stuff. No. And so that's my thing. I just don't want to get into a relationship. So that's not something I'm interested in myself. And a lot of people say, well, it's because of your trauma. My mom likes to say that a lot. Oh, it's because you had such a hard time with your old relationship that you're not getting into a new one. And partly that might be true. 10% of it might be true. But mostly it's because I have learned through all the analysis that I've done on myself that I don't want to get into one again because of all the different reasons that I've outlined, right? Now, a lot of you guys are much younger. It's funny because my friend says that I think everyone else is younger than me. But I mean, I'm guessing a lot of you guys are much younger. And I'm guessing Muhammad, who asked this question, is young as well, and maybe in his 20s. And he's probably just at the beginning of this whole cycle of being in relationships and then hating them and not wanting to be in them. And I would say that don't do what I do. In terms of relationships, absolutely don't do what I do. Like, I don't think it's the healthy way to do it. I don't think it's a healthy way to completely give up on relationships. Now, I have something really much more powerful than a relationship to focus on. I have my work and my creativity and my books and all the different things that I do. So all that stuff occupies my mind so much more that I don't even think about being in a relationship. It doesn't even come across my mind until someone points it out that I haven't been in one in a while. I'm like, oh, right, yeah. And then my mind drops back into my work because it's just so important to me. I care so much about it. So I have something that I really focus on, something that really matters to me. So a relationship is not important to me at all. Not even any kind of relationship, not even a relationship with my family or friends or anyone. None of those relationships matter to me as much as my work. My priority is always my work, and then my health, and then travel, and then maybe a family or friend, and then maybe a relationship is on the 5th position, right? And so, it never gets to that point, because by the time I get to my family and friends, I'm completely exhausted by all the different things I'm doing, and I barely pay any attention to my family or friends. So I'm never going to get to that point where I have enough energy to devote to a relationship. It's just not going to happen for me. And that's a learning that I've gathered from myself. I'm a completely different person from you, right? And so I implore you guys not to do what I do, and not to let the trauma or like the relationship trivialities get at you. Don't worry about that stuff. That's what love is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be, relationships are supposed to be messy. They're not supposed to be perfect and clean. They're not supposed to leave you untainted. That's the reason we get into relationships, is to change, to grow, to become more, to learn more about ourselves. And we don't get into relationships so we can remain the same. Now, I don't want to change. Such a terrible thing to say. I want to change in the way I want to change, and I want to control the way I change. So I'm not getting into a relationship because I know for right now, the things I want to do don't involve being in a relationship. But for you guys, especially if you're in your early 20s or in your teens, this is the best time to do it. You guys might not have any kind of real focus on work or projects right now. You might be focused entirely on relationships, which is how I was in my teens and 20s. And so you can focus entirely on your relationships, either with your family, friends, or a significant other, and deal with the traumas and learn from it and grow from it, and let it be messy, and let it be really, really, let yourself be vulnerable and let yourself feel all of it, because this is the time for you guys to feel it. Eventually you're going to be too busy, and you're going to be doing so many amazing cool things, and you're not going to have time to think about relationships. Until that point though, let yourself go into it and feel it, and just do it. I think it'll be fun for you guys. In any case, I don't know if I even answered the question or not, but I hope I did. These are my thoughts and opinions on it. If you guys have any questions, obviously, please let me know. I'm not an expert, as I said, on relationships specifically. I'm not an expert. I am definitely not an expert. So I might have explained myself, I might not have, but if I did, I'm glad. And if I didn't, message me and ask me any questions that you might have, okay? If I can, I'll answer them. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being on my channel, and I shall see you guys next time around. Bye for now.